You're listening to Toby Foster here across Yorkshire on the BBC, where it's time for today's big guest. And this year, I can't believe this, I've been telling everybody, but I interviewed her before her first book came out. She's celebrating 20 years since she became an author, and she's not done too bad. In the UK alone, Millie Johnson has sold over 3 million books. She's just about to publish her 23rd novel. Ring the Bells is out Thursday. Her name's Millie Johnson. She's from Barnsley. She joins me now. Millie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Toby.
It's absolutely lovely to see you. All this COVID nonsense and all this kind of stuff, I think it's always on the phone these days.
It is. I've not seen you in the flesh.
No.
We were just saying outside, I haven't been in the studio, and it's nice to come in, isn't it? And
it makes a world of difference, doesn't it? Just see people. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good, thank you very much.
And
yes.
I'm not entirely sure what the prevailing thoughts is amongst the Gen Zs, whether I'm allowed to say this or that, but you look fantastic.
No, you can say that all you like.
Oh, no, you wouldn't mind.
No, do you know, I hit 60 kind of last year.
Really?
And I realised that for like 20 odd years, I was looking after the kids, then looking after my parents. You squeezed out your own life. And when my parents went and the kids like grew up, I thought, do you know what? I've a bit of time to put into myself.
Yeah.
And you should. You really should. It's come a bit late, but I hit the gym and we did a lot of walking and stuff, and took some multivitamins, and I feel better than I did in blinking 40, to be honest.
It's easy to get into a real... Where we are today, I'm trying to do a thing at the minute where I don't use my phones and my computers as much, and start writing stuff down, and just to try and slow down a little bit, because it's easy to get carried away into it. And
yeah, it is.
I looked at a video the other day, which was when Annabelle was about. It was probably 14 years ago, and we were at Wortley, the riding stables there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe how skinny I looked. And I remember thinking, I thought I was fat then.
Yeah, you do. That's it.
and I've just blinked, and it's 14 years later.
Yeah.
And you go, whoa, hang on a minute. We need to get some handle on what's going off here.
I think you've just got to enjoy the decade that you're in.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lovely thing with Patricia Routledge recently. It's a long thing.
I read it.
Did you? And it's like, enjoy the decade that you're in. Because we're us too busy looking back thinking, oh, weren't I skinny in my 20s?
Yeah.
Weren't I this in my 30s? Weren't I this in my 40s? And you never think, this is the decade I'm going to enjoy and not look back.
Alex Lowe plays Clinton Baptiste.
Oh, God.
I was with him about a fortnight ago.
I love him.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But we're having one of these things that old stand-ups I do, which is where we fall now, old stand-ups do. We sat down chatting, and he says, I'm still really ambitious, Toby says, but I'm finding that very tiring these days.
Oh,
just the ambition.
Yeah.
He wants to do something else and just smell the coffee a bit.
Yeah.
And there's something there. You, however, are on your 23rd book.
I know. I'm still, while I've got the energy for it, I'm still going for it. I do have a lot of energy at the moment.
Yeah.
It'll dwindle off in the years to come, and that is why I'm enjoying it while I can. But I'm obsessed by my work. You know, we're very lucky, and you find a job that you are passionate about, and it doesn't feel like work. Very, very blessed. And so it's self-perpetuating. And
I'm sure I've said this to you before. I remember I interviewed Jeffrey Deaver, and I said to him, look at all these books you put out, how do you do it? And he looked at me like I was daft. He just said, because that's my job.
Yes.
That's what I have to do. And the volume of work you've put out is incredible. 23 books in 20 years.
But it's to quote Jeffrey, it's what I do. Somebody once said, that David Beckham can't understand why everybody else can't kick a football. It's what you were put on the planet for. Which is luckily for me, because I couldn't go back to a proper job now. I have nightmares that I go back to trainee accountancy.
But you are quite regimented, aren't you, in the way that you work, the way that you write?
I have to be. I have to be regimented. There's anarchy that reigns within the framework. But I will sit down. I will crack the whip over myself, because nobody's there to do it for me. So I have to. But I am quite a hard taskmaster on myself. Yeah. I give myself a lot of extra work, but then I love it. I don't have to do it.
We'll come on to the current book in a minute, but just let's just stick with that for a minute, because how much work? What's a normal day look like for?
Well, I'll go out, take the dog, go to the gym these days, and then I'm sitting there, and my partner will call in at 8 and say, "Are you going to be in there all night?" Because I'll think, "Oh, I'll just finish this bit. I'll just finish this bit." Very rarely stop for lunch, etc.
Right.
I'll grab something. But I just love what I do, and there's always something. In this job, writing the book is the easy part. You've got all the social media. Somebody wants an article. Somebody wants this. You've got emails to answer. I do try and answer them all when people write, and so there's a lot of extra work around the book. Sometimes I'll think, "Crikey, my book's due out my book's due in a fortnight. I've not written it yet because I've been doing all the faffy stuff around it." So I have to make sure that the core of my work is actually the writing of the book.
And the interesting thing about it is, because you're 23 books in, as I said there, 3 million books in this country alone. You're a very successful author. Yeah. And yet you've come in here now, and you were just talking to Jim, the producer you've known for a long time, saying, "Oh, I've got 20 book signings to do, I've got this." You're still 1,000% on the publicity trail, when you could be forgiven, I suppose, for thinking, "I'm Millie Johnson, buy me a book." You know what I mean? You've done the hard yards, haven't you?
Yeah, but part of the fun, Toby, is going out and seeing people, and they want their books signed in front of you. They want to tell you their little stories, and I love all that. Not all authors do, but I'm a bit of a social butterfly. I love it when I love to mix. Yeah. I love to see people. These people have given me a job. I'd be an unpaid hobbyist if it weren't for them.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this book, because you and I spoke a while back when you were researching for this book, weren't you?
Call it research, yes.
That's what the taxman says. Looks like research to him.
It was.
Tell us about the book.
It's about 7 people who are kind of lost in their own lives, really, and they're all going different places for Christmas. They should never have met, really, apart from one couple, married couple. But they end up on this train that's going to another station. It breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and they can't go anywhere. It's snowed in. It's owned by an American who is going up to Scotland to take his family around Scotland. It's like a little Orient Express. It's got everything on it, and they are forced to spend Christmas on this luxury train. No internet. They have to live in the here and now. They're quite lost, but just sitting there and talking. They realise that they can give to each other, they can take from each other. It's just a very gentle story about the Christmas spirit.
And where did it come from? What was the inspiration for the book?
I'd written a book called I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, that was about these 6 people trapped in an inn. And it was always meant to be a one-off. And I'd written it for my dad. But when my mum died, I got that feeling I needed to write another book. And I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't go back to the inn. By a weird coincidence, just happened to walk in to the front room when my other half was watching snooker. He'd gone to the loo. There was a film on, a Hallmark film. He came on and said, "Why have you turned that telly off?" And I went, "I haven't." It was about a train. It was almost like the idea was gifted to me. He can't remember. He didn't turn the television off. But there was this, and I thought, that's it. That's how I can do it. On a train.
Yeah. So you had to go on to a train then?
I had to go. I tried to get on the Orient Express, but they wouldn't have it. Then I realised the Northern Bell. Somebody said, "Have you heard about the Northern Bell?" It's like on your doorstep. Chef from Barnsley.
Really?
They couldn't have been nicer to me. So I bought a posh lunch. I didn't want to, think I was going on for a freebie. I took the other half and I said, "Will you show me around the train? What lovely staff. It's dear and it's worth twice what you pay." 7 hours just sitting there scoffing.
Had you ever been on a steam train before?
No.
We did it just recently for a thing at Yorkshire Day. We went on the one from Whitby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Oh, isn't it? Train. You could be anywhere. Yeah. You could have been in 1930s London. I expected Hercule Poirot to walk out, and say, "Excuse me, madame." It was just bliss. I've been on a couple of times since because I wasn't quite sure I got all the details right.
Right.
But what a lovely firm. And if anybody's got a celebration or anything, it is the way to go. Just a train journey. It's a memory-making afternoon. And this is my book is like that. It's just that whole magic of a train.
We're going to take a tune. We'll come back. We've got to spend some more time with Millie Johnson. We've got Taylor Swift here, The Fate of Ophelia.
I heard you calling on the megaphone. Legend has it you are quite the pyro. You light the match to watch it blow. And if you'd never call for me, I might have drowned in the melancholy. I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I. Right before you lit my sky up. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. They wanna, you took me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. Keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the sky. Pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes. Don't care where the hell you've been. 'Cause now your mind is about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of. The fate of Ophelia, the eldest daughter of a nobleman. Ophelia lived in fantasy, but love was a cold bed full of scorpions. The venom stole her sanity. And if you'd never called for me, I might have lingered in purgatory. You wrap around me like a chain, a crown, a vine, pulling me into the fire. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. They wanna, you took me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. Keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the sky. Pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes. Don't care where the hell you've been. 'Cause now your mind is about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of. The fate of Ophelia is locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me. Locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. I can see it all. They wanna, you took me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. Keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the sky. Pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes. Don't care where the hell you've been. 'Cause now your mind is about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of. The fate of Ophelia.
That's
You
Taylor
saved
Swift.
my heart from the fate of Ophelia.
There's still some discussion about that song in this studio. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. Well, I'm not sure about that one. Not that she's bothered. Right, let's get some traffic and travel now from Chelsea Ward.
Yeah, thank you. In Toddick, we've got queues on the A57, that's Worksop Road, heading west at the M1 at junction 31. In Sheffield, slow on Witton Road, Western Bank and Brook Hill, between the Brook Hill roundabout and Glossop Road. If you are in Anston, you'll notice temporary lights on West Street at West Bank Drive because of water main work. Charlotte Road closed from the A61 Queens Road to Healy Bank Road in Healy because of water main work. I think that's actually finishing today. In Rivlin, temporary lights on the A57 Manchester Road near Rivlin Valley Road. That's until Friday. And in New Totley, temporary lights on 20well Lane from Abdale Road South to 20well Rise because of electricity work. That's it for now. More travel news for South Yorkshire in about half an hour or so.
Toby Foster. BBC Radio Sheffield.
Right, you're in the studio with Millie Johnson, whose latest book is out on Thursday, and it's called Let the Bells Ring Out. It's set on a train, which means the last time I spoke to Millie, she was telling me about the train she was on. It sounded fantastic. Where does inspiration come from after 23 books?
Oh, it can come from anywhere and everywhere. a comment somebody makes to me, just happening to be in a certain place, reading a story in a newspaper. It's like I've got a little kind of radar that will pick something out and think, that'll make a good story. And then it lands in my brain and just germinates. That's how my brain works. But it can be, as I say, anything or anywhere. I mean, the one I'm writing in a couple of books' time, it was born after my mum died and I was selling the childhood home.
Oh.
And it was just, I thought, God, there's a book in this. If I'd have sold that house straight away, I wouldn't have had the idea. But the people that come through your doors, storing themselves, and I thought, there's a book in this. So it can come from...
Are you planned that far in advance then?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't... It's queued up in my brain, but I know that is the one I'll be writing in 2 books' time.
Right, wow.
And it just starts to knit. It starts to gather things to it. And so by the time I come to write it, I'll have a little store, a little kind of scrapbook of things to call on.
It's incredible because I mean, my biggest problem as a bloke, I suppose, is procrastination. I've got I'd love to do this, I'd love to do that, and just motivating myself. And you're so far in advance, it's incredible.
Well, I can procrastinate when it comes to things like painting and spraying the fence. We can all do it. But I just have to be disciplined, otherwise I'd never earn any money.
We had a really interesting conversation a couple of conversations ago about the state of the book industry and how people view certain kinds of books.
Yes.
Now, books in our house are massive because my wife's a massive bibliophile. She goes to book groups at Thorpe Esley on a Monday, and she reads all the magazines. And as such, she reads all sorts of stuff. I mean, there isn't a kind of this is the kind of book that Nikki reads at all. It's totally cross genre.
Yeah.
And I do remember speaking to you about book shows on TV in particular.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise until you said it. I talked to Nick and I watched a couple.
Yeah.
Incredibly snobby about some books.
Okay, They write one sort of book, but distance themselves and advertise another.
Right.
And I can't get my head around that at all. It's just, well, it is. It's just innate snobbery, and. There is just no reason for it because, our books spin a fortune for the industry. They prop up an industry. The walls
they're also the books that people want to... I mean, I've got the numbers here. They're the books that people want to read.
But it is. It's almost as if by being popular and liked, that you kind of devalue your stock, which is ridiculous. It works in reverse, doesn't it?
But that doesn't work. I mean, the fact that I've said I'm not a big fan of that Taylor Swift song, which doesn't matter.
No,
but music is incredibly subjective. But everybody's just said, well, you're crackers because she's Taylor Swift. She's brilliant. We love her because she's successful.
Yeah.
And yet books appears to be the opposite way round.
It does. The walls are slowly crumbling,
right.
Actually. I have been invited onto a couple of kind of higher brow shows, shall we say.
Yeah.
I've gone onto their radar, I mean, after 20 years. But it's nice because people in the audience were very receptive. And it's lovely. But as I say, it has been a long slog. And it's a shame.
Do you think it's just the kind of books you read? Or am I putting chips on people's shoulders here? Is there anything northern about it?
Well, there is in mine, but I think I'm trebly scuppered, being northern, being a woman, and writing, romfic. I do think that there is possibly a little kind of snobbery about it being up north and not down south, etc. Because northern voices tend to be very strong. However, I've just gone over to America and they seem to be loving it.
Yeah.
And I'm massive in Sweden.
Really?
Sweden, Finland, Denmark, can't get enough of it. Yorkshire humour. So if it's good enough for them, then it should be good enough for the rest of the world. Very big down under as well, apparently.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. still writing those Christmas card jokes?
Always, Tobes, always.
Never leaves you. The other thing that we always talk about whenever I get to see it is when did they put them on telly? When did they put them on the big screen?
It's a lottery win, isn't it? We all buy the tickets, but we never actually believe that we're going to win. I don't pander to that market. I just write the books, and I'm very successful at writing the books. If someone comes along, you get a sniff occasionally, but a very good advice that my friend gave to me once, she said, unless you are in the cinema with your popcorn, watching it on the screen, do not believe it's going to happen. Yeah. So, the last Christmas book, that I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, landed up in the lap of Disney, which I did allow myself to get slightly excited about But it didn't go anywhere, so it's a good job that I didn't buy the champagne in. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's always been my philosophy.
And the entire industry's changed, isn't it? I mean, 10 years ago, who'd have said Disney? I mean, the streamers are just taking everything, aren't they?
Yeah, but this is a weird thing, about what you're saying about snobbery, right? Look at Netflix. Look at how so many films on there are love stories, etc.
Yeah.
So that's not devalued. Look at all the. I was in the car listening to AC/DC and thinking, this is a love song. Then I thought of all the rock stars that write all the songs. They're all about love, aren't they? Yeah. I wonder if anybody goes up to John Bon Jovi and says, what do you do then? Oh, I'm a rock star. Oh, you don't write those silly songs about love, do you? They'd say that to a woman novelist. But it's the stuff that makes the world go around. So I'm clinging to what I do for Grim Death and carrying on doing it.
I mean, it's one of those where I sometimes do show my ignorance because obviously I'm not part of that world. I don't see it. I'm just amazed. These are the most successful books.
Yeah. Well, I sell them by millions, so I'm not bothered about the snobbery because I just think off you go. If that's what you think, that tells you a bit. It tells me a little bit more about you than it does me.
You're in that bait now. We just said to you before you came on whereabouts you're signing books, and you went, "Look, I have no idea. They've got 20." Look at my website, which is milliejohnson.com.
milliejohnson.co.uk.
.co.uk.
Yes.
milliejohnson.co.uk. Go on there, see where Millie is.
Yes.
What do you like of the book signings? Are they fun?
Oh, they're wonderful. I love them. People come and talk to me. They bring me presents, which is lovely. I always give loads of things away at my book launch because it's like a christening for me. So I've got, an events page on there. So I'm everywhere. I'm down in Yate. I'm like, where else am I? I'm in Durham. I'm a lot of Barnsley, Sheffield, Meadowhall.
Barnsley Book Vault. I mean, independent bookshop, middle of Barnsley. Yeah. Big up.
Yeah,
I mean, they're fantastic, isn't
it? They're you can pre-order from there and get a big bag of goodies. I've spent a fortune doing it because it's a big book for me. It's my 20th year. It's actually the 200th year of rail travel as well. It's like all the gifts coming together, and I wanted to. It's about my mum. It's a story. It's not about my mum. I wrote this for my mum, so I'm pushing it out with pomp and glory and celebrating the fact I am a rom-com author.
So when is retirement even a thing?
Don't even say that word. Even though I've got my little pension now, not the big one, but I've drawn my pension from like years ago. I thought, I didn't even know I had one, to be honest. Yeah. So that pays for a Wagamama's every month. But no, absolutely, I'm not ready. Like I said, I've got too much energy for that. And I'm a rubbish gardener. I can't grow tomatoes, so it's just not going to happen. I am happy with my people, writing my books, doing my thing.
Briefly before we go, let's talk about the people because she's still in Barnsley.
Yeah.
Proud of Barnsley, vociferously proud of Barnsley.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you were at where were you yesterday?
Where was I yesterday?
No, not yesterday, Sunday.
Sunday at Bournemouth.
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
Bournemouth,
Because it was Dickie's funeral, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So I'm guessing that you felt that passing, like we all did. It was such a shame, wasn't it?
Me and Dickie got on really well because I always had his back.
Yeah.
If anybody said anything about Dickie, like the ridiculous thing, it was only Barnsley when it suited him.
That was it.
Could you get any person back? So I used to come out fighting, and he loved that I did.
Yeah.
And so when he died, I was heartbroken.
Yeah,
and then his funeral, I thought, I'm down in Bournemouth.
Right.
I'm down in Bournemouth.
Hours away.
And I thought, I can't do it. I had to go because I was headlining something. Yeah. And anyway, the first train out of Bournemouth was 7:00 on Sunday morning, and it was a rail replacement. So at 3 trains, partner picking me up from Sheffield, if all the trains lined up.
Yeah.
And you know what? Every single one did, and I got there.
Right.
I got there 2 minutes. The funerals were at 2:00. I got there at 2:02. Right. I didn't go in after him. I stood outside with my brolly for an hour and a half, but I were there. I were there for my friend.
Yeah, and he was a huge part of Barnsley. And Barnsley's a huge part of your life, isn't it?
Well, it is. Do you know, it's Barnsley people that have. It's the Barnsley Press. It's local radio. You included. Radio Sheffield and that. Everybody, when they get a book deal, thinks, I want to be in the Express, I want to be in the Nationals. They do not realise the power of the local press, the local people, the reading groups. They've given me a career. They built me up.
I think it's because you've been there from, to be honest, Millie. I mean,
I hope so. I've never dissed it.
I think in 20 years, I don't remember you ever saying no to us.
I would never. Unless
unless
time
of course,
constraints.
Yeah.
But it would never be because I'm too big for you.
No, it's
because
been
you
great.
never are. My godmother once said, and I'll temper it, but she said you were born in the wrong place to get up your own backside. She said,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't because being grounded that keeps me, looking around me and writing about the people that I mix with. And I never got tired of somebody shouting across, hey, you! And I'm thinking, oh, crikey, what have I done? Hey, you got me through COVID! And, it's a joy. And it still happens. I love it.
Well, listen, best of luck with this book. I can see how important it is to you.
It is.
And it's out on Thursday. You're going to be in Barnsley Book Vault on Saturday morning, in Meadowhall Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
Look on milliejohnson.co.uk to see where else she is around the patch. Lovely to see you. Best of luck.
It's been a joy.
Thank you, Millie. Take care. Millie Johnson.